Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Choosing Beggar Reddit video. In our first story, you have to give it for free. You know my son isn't normal. Let's jump right in. So for context, I used to be a teacher at an English school here in Brazil. Most of my students were young kids, and usually the other teachers would send me the kids who had some difficulties in learning. That was probably because I would do little games and different activities that often motivated them during class. Most teachers wouldn't do things like that because we were only paid for the time we spent doing school things, so I kind of worked extra for free, but I didn't care as long as the kids were happy. Well, then there was this one kid that the other teachers said was a nightmare. I related to him really quickly, and it was quite clear to me that he had ADHD. And so do I, so it wasn't hard to find a way to make him interested in my classes. But the fun didn't last long. His mom called me one day, and here's how it went. "Hey darling, how are you?" "I'm fine. What about you? Is there anything I can help you with?" "Oh, I'm so glad you asked. My son is enjoying your classes very much. He told me you play games with him and such." "I'm really happy to hear that. I find games a better way to learn." He said the same. "So I came to talk to you about something. I already contacted the school and they said it was a great idea. So I would like for you to spend some time with my son and play a lot of educational games with him." "So you want me to give him extra English classes? My schedule is quite busy these days. I'm not sure if I can do it, but there are a bunch of other teachers at the school." "Hey, don't worry about it. I'll contact the school, and you won't need to teach any other kid, so you can focus on my son and teach him everything he needs to know for school." "Do you want me to teach him every school subject?" Yes, you're his private teacher. I'm only qualified to teach English for beginners. I can't teach anything else, and I want to keep my classes." "But he can only learn with you. He needs you." "Fine. I could try to give him a few classes, but I would need to charge you the same amount as I would get at the school, since I would need to leave that job in order to work for you." "Charge me?" "Yes. I didn't know I had to pay you. I already pay the school. I don't need to pay you." "I'm an employee at an English school. You pay them for English classes." "But you said you're not qualified. It doesn't make any sense to pay you." "If you want someone qualified, there are a bunch of private teachers out there who can do amazing jobs, especially with kids that can't learn easily." "But their prices are too high. You're being petty. You know it's difficult not being normal." "You shouldn't use those words. Your kid is really smart. He just needs a little bit more motivation. You can do that yourself if you try." "Are you calling me a bad mom? You know what? I'll get your butt fired from that school." And believe it or not, she did try, and my boss told me to do the job for her even if I wasn't getting paid because the mom was popular or something. He said it would be a bad thing if she talks trash about our school. I left that job after 2 weeks because they would do anything to keep the students. So, not only did her son not get extra teaching from me, but he lost out on the class he already had with me. It wasn't a huge loss for me. I was being underpaid. Lol. Story number 2. I missed my return train. Refund my entire trip. I worked at the reservation desk customer service in an amusement park, so I'm used to dealing with all kinds of choosing beggars. But this one really got everyone in the office enraged. This summer, a Monday morning, the phone rang. My colleague picked up the phone with the usual, "Fun time park. I'm Sally, how can I help you?" My desk is right in front of her, so I could see the smile on her face slowly disappear. Here's what happened. The lady on the phone had booked 2 tickets for our park, which costs in total €50 for 2 adults. That's about $59. She had come the previous Saturday and had enjoyed her visit. However, when she and her guests decided to leave the park, they realized they had missed the last train to their home. So the lady had to call a cab and told us she had to pay €100, which is about $118, to go back home. She was furious and asked us to refund her tickets and her cab ride. Of course, my colleague told her it was impossible. She had already visited the park, validated the tickets, and spent the day there. We are a small amusement center, and due to the current pandemic restrictions, we can only welcome 1,000 visitors a day. But even still, it is in no way our responsibility to make sure our guests don't miss their bus or train. We don't have any shuttle to and from the train station to the park, as it is only a 3-minute walk. So after politely explaining why we would not refund her tickets, the lady was still going on and on about being refunded, at least for her cab expenses. It was ridiculous, and after 15 minutes on the phone, my colleague finally hung up. She was exhausted, and the lady had insulted her with every word in the dictionary. She took a long break outside before she could calm down and take other calls. The next day, the lady called again. This time, it was a student doing part-time work in our center that replied. The lady was, of course, awful to her, and the poor girl was distraught and on the verge of tears. This awoke my mama bear instinct, and I told our student to give me the phone. I politely told the lady off because it was not our problem. I had all the difficulties in the world to stay polite, but kill them with kindness, as they say. Then I offered hot chocolate to my poor student, who was doing a very nice job, but had the misfortune to fall on the worst customer ever encountered in our center. 2 to 3 days later, our boss gets an email from the Office of Consumer Protection. The lady had called them and said we were disrespectful, called her a liar, and laughed in her face. Our customer services were terrible, and it was the worst she had ever been treated in her entire life. My colleagues and I were disgusted. My colleague had been nothing but apologetic and polite to that lady who was just screaming at her for 15 minutes. Same thing with the student and myself. Our boss was scared of the repercussions and sent an email to the lady. He offered her a free entry for the inconvenience plus a free meal at the park, even though we had done nothing wrong. Later that day, the lady replied to the email unhappy again. She said she would not use only one free entry. I have 3 children and my husband, so we need at least 5 tickets plus 5 meals, and the guarantee we will be able to come and go back home after the visit. This time, my boss was enraged. He told her to take the free entry or take nothing, and he didn't care what the impact would be. He then forwarded the email to the Office of Customer Protection as well as to corporate. We heard nothing more about it for a while. Our boss told us to blacklist her phone number and email address. Sometime later, the boss told us corporate had just let him know the lady had been permanently banned from the park. She had been incredibly rude to them as well. She threatened them, saying she would be calling her lawyer, etc., etc. The whole thing was just totally ridiculous. The nerve of some people. This is John from /Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, then subscribe and click on that notifications bell. I'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.